Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and inspiring stories in the Bible, the story of Joseph. It's a tale of betrayal, suffering, faith, and ultimately, redemption. Joseph's journey from the pit to the palace is a testament to the power of God's providence and the strength of human character. If you're ready to explore this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's begin. Joseph was the 11th of 12 sons of Jacob, born to Jacob's beloved wife, Rachel. From the very beginning, Joseph was special. His father Jacob loved him more than his other sons, even giving him a richly ornamented coat, famously known as the coat of many colors. But this favoritism sowed seeds of envy and resentment among Joseph's brothers. Joseph also had two dreams that hinted at his future greatness. In the first dream, he saw himself and his brothers binding sheaves of grain in the field, and suddenly, his sheaf rose and stood upright, while his brothers' sheaves gathered around and bowed down to his. In the second dream, the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him. When Joseph shared these dreams with his family, his brothers were furious, interpreting the dreams as a sign that Joseph would one day rule over them. Their jealousy reached a boiling point when Joseph was sent by Jacob to check on his brothers in the fields. When they saw him approaching, they plotted to kill him. However, Reuben, the eldest brother, persuaded them not to shed blood and instead throw Joseph into an empty cistern, intending to rescue him later. After stripping Joseph of his special coat, they threw him into a dry well. But soon, a caravan of Ishmaelite traders passed by, and Judah, one of the brothers, suggested they sell Joseph into slavery instead of leaving him to die. The brothers agreed, and for 20 pieces of silver, they sold their own brother into slavery. To cover up their deed, the brothers dipped Joseph's coat in goat's blood and presented it to their father, leading Jacob to believe that his beloved son had been killed by a wild animal. Heartbroken, Jacob mourned deeply for Joseph, while Joseph was taken to Egypt as a slave. Joseph was sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Despite his dire circumstances, Joseph remained faithful to God. His hard work, integrity, and divine favor soon earned him Potiphar's trust, and he was made overseer of Potiphar's household, managing all that he owned. Under Joseph's management, Potiphar's household flourished. Everything Joseph touched seemed to prosper, and Potiphar could see that the Lord was with him. But just as things seemed to be improving, Joseph faced another severe test. Potiphar's wife began to take notice of Joseph's good looks and tried to seduce him. Despite her persistent advances, Joseph refused to sin against God and betray his master's trust. But one day, when she grabbed his cloak and demanded he lie with her, Joseph fled, leaving his cloak behind. Enraged by Joseph's rejection, Potiphar's wife falsely accused him of trying to assault her. When Potiphar heard his wife's accusations, he was furious and had Joseph thrown into prison, a place reserved for the king's prisoners. Once again, Joseph found himself in a hopeless situation, wrongfully accused and imprisoned. But even in the darkness of the prison, Joseph remained faithful to God. And God did not abandon him. Joseph quickly gained the favor of the prison warden, who put him in charge of all the prisoners. While in prison, Joseph encountered two of Pharaoh's officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, who had been imprisoned by Pharaoh. One night, both men had troubling dreams and shared them with Joseph, who, with God's help, interpreted them accurately. He told the cupbearer that he would be restored to his position and the baker that he would be executed. Both interpretations came to pass exactly as Joseph had said. Joseph asked the cupbearer to remember him and mention him to Pharaoh, hoping to be freed from prison. However, the cupbearer forgot about Joseph, and 2 more years passed with Joseph remaining in prison. 2 years later, Pharaoh had 2 disturbing dreams that none of his magicians or wise men could interpret. It was then that the cupbearer remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh about his ability to interpret dreams. Joseph was quickly summoned from the prison to appear before Pharaoh. Pharaoh described his dreams to Joseph. In the first dream, 7 healthy cows were devoured by 7 thin, ugly cows. In the second dream, 7 full ears of grain were swallowed by 7 thin, scorched ears. With God's guidance, Joseph interpreted the dreams. Egypt would experience 7 years of great abundance followed by 7 years of severe famine. Impressed by Joseph's wisdom and divine insight, Pharaoh appointed him as second in command over all of Egypt, giving him the task of preparing the nation for the coming famine. Joseph was given a new name, dressed in fine clothes, and entrusted with the highest level of authority in the land, second only to Pharaoh himself. Under Joseph's leadership, Egypt stored vast amounts of grain during the 7 years of plenty. When the famine struck, it was widespread, affecting not only Egypt but also the surrounding nations, including Canaan, where Joseph's family lived. Hearing that there was grain in Egypt, Jacob sent his sons to buy food. When they arrived, they unknowingly bowed before Joseph, fulfilling the very dreams that had sparked their jealousy years before. Although Joseph recognized them, they did not recognize him. Joseph decided to test his brothers, accusing them of being spies and demanding that they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, back to Egypt as proof of their honesty. After a series of tests and emotional encounters, Joseph finally revealed his identity to his brothers, who were terrified of his potential revenge. But instead of seeking revenge, Joseph forgave his brothers, telling them that what they had meant for evil, God had used for good, to save many lives. He invited his entire family to come and live in Egypt, providing them with the best land and ensuring their survival during the famine. Joseph's father, Jacob, was overjoyed to learn that his beloved son was alive. The entire family was reunited in Egypt, where they lived under Joseph's protection and care. Joseph's story is one of redemption, forgiveness, and the power of God's providence. Despite the betrayal, suffering, and injustice he endured, Joseph remained faithful to God and became a vessel for God's plan to save many lives. Through Joseph's life, we see how God can turn even the darkest situations into opportunities for growth, healing, and salvation. His story teaches us the importance of trusting in God's timing, maintaining integrity in the face of trials, and offering forgiveness even when it's difficult. Joseph's journey from the pit to the palace is a powerful reminder that God's plans for us are always greater than we can imagine. No matter what challenges you face, remember that God is with you, working behind the scenes to bring about His purpose in your life. Thank you for joining us as we explored the full story of Joseph. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that uplifts and strengthens your faith. And remember, just as Joseph's story shows, with God, even the most difficult trials can lead to a greater purpose.